A middle-aged man and a senior citizen walked into the gym and they pissed off the New York Times. I cannot believe that the New York Times published an article where they were complaining that a 71-year-old man and a 45-year-old man challenged Americans to do 100 push-ups and 50 pull-ups in 10 minutes. We're talking about 10 push-ups a minute, 5 pull-ups a minute, and all of a sudden, New York Times loses their mind. At the end of the day, we know, looking at the author, Callum Marsh, that he probably hasn't done 100 push-ups in the last 10 years. And so he's clearly offended, upset that men may have issued a challenge to other men. Now, what I want us to wrap our head around with this is that at the end of the day, I don't even believe that this article is published even under the vein of he was mad about toxic masculinity and bro culture of challenging other men to do better. This is a political hit piece, plain and simple. And while I could go off on a tangent about how sad it is that we've come to a place in this country where we don't care about facts, we care about the team that's stating whatever is being said, and that alone is going to determine how we react to it. Because you can bet your bottom dollar that had Barack Obama or Joe Biden issued a similar challenge, there would not be any hoopla at the New York Times. But because it was Pete Hegseth and RFK Jr., looked at as Republicans and conservatives, of course, this becomes an issue. But what I really care about this is that we know it's a political hit piece because if you really wanted to attack dangerous trends, if you really wanted to attack absurdities in the fitness space, we have the list of influencers is 2 arms long that are selling bullshit training tactics, that are selling hocus pocus snake oil and contraptions that don't work and just straight telling lies. New York Times should probably do a report on metabolic resets. That way they can at least talk about real fear mongering and the things that aren't setting this country up for success. And I talk about this often. A lot of people fail to realize this, that our nation's obesity rate is a national security concern. It's literally listed because our young men and women can't pass a basic physical fitness test in order to go into the military. And what's more crazy about this is this challenge that was issued, it didn't come from a 20-some-year-old kid. It came from a 71-year-old man and a 45-year-old man. How are we at a place in this country, how are we at a place in evolution that we're worried about the workout program of a 75 and 45-year-old man, 71 and 45-year-old man being dangerous to Americans? I want you to put your mind around this. They went and they challenged you to a calisthenic workout. The one thing that I could say could potentially be a viable argument for a challenge to be upset about is that they went to some gym and used all this fancy equipment and okay, hey, socioeconomically, maybe some people don't have access to that. Cool, I get that. They literally said 100 push-ups, 50 pull-ups. All you need is a floor. Last time I checked, none of us are floating. We got that. A tree limb, your local park, a ledge. There are countless things that are free that you could do this challenge on. And they challenge you to something that was ridiculously easy to break down. We're talking about 10 push-ups a minute, 5 pull-ups a minute. And then what's crazy is they want to liken it to the Navy SEAL test. Guys, give me a break. Give me a break. The Navy SEAL test? This is absurd. And what's crazier is they go and they start talking about get this, the risk of the pull-up. And then somehow they go to CrossFit and use the kipping pull-up as a safer alternative. So let me get this straight. The untrained, uninitiated are less likely to hurt their shoulder swinging and flailing their body around like a flopping dead fish than working on doing one strict pull-up. Are you out of your mind? But this is where we've got to. We've got to a society that fearmongers. Completely forget the fact that 6 of the top 10 killers of Americans, that the number one comorbidity is obesity. Let's not talk about that. Let's not do an article, if we're so concerned about Americans and their health, let's not do an article on microplastics. Let's not do an article on what happens as soon as you put your hot coffee in that Starbucks cup, what the degradation of that cup is doing to your body. Let's not do an article about all of the pesticides, all of the processed food. Let's not do an article about how the lack of activity is literally taking decades off of people's lives. Instead, let's warn the American population, stop, don't do this very dangerous workout. You could do a lot of that together, and that just would not be good for you. If somebody can't do 100 push-ups, I assure you, after 18 years in the physical fitness space, if somebody can't do 100 push-ups, they will stop on their own. If somebody can't do 50 pull-ups, they will stop on their own. The issue that we have in this country has nothing to do with too much activity and everything to do with too little activity. What we should have done, what would have been responsible journalism, wouldn't have been going around piecemealing advice from trainers that makes this look dangerous. Instead, what would have been a better play would have been for you to go out and applaud these men for showing Americans what's possible at 45 and 71 years of age. And I really want to drive in here on RFK, because here's what's important. The average American male lifespan is 72 years old. So we're not expecting a 71-year-old man to be knocking out push-ups and pull-ups or bench pressing. We're expecting that 71-year-old man to be on his last year of life, probably in a retirement home, maybe at best in his own recliner, needing somebody to take care of him. That's the expectation we have. And yet, when we have an example of a man that has led his life where he's taking care of his body, again, I don't give a shit whether you agree with him politically. Half of you disagreed with him when he was a Democrat. Now the other half of you love him because he's a Republican. All you do is you flip-flop. So I don't care about that. What I care about is the man is clearly taking care of his health. The man is clearly in good shape. So he has given us an example of what is possible if we take care of ourselves. Pete, the same way. 45 years old. I can't tell you how many times people come in and go, well, I'm 40. I can't do anything. I've gotten old. You're 40. Even if we go off of the average lifespan of American male, as I mentioned earlier, you got 32 more years expected. You're rolling over at 40. The challenge was not a problem. The problem is our country's reaction to any form of physicality. I've already mentioned that this is a national security risk, but let me drive something else home. There are countless countries in this world that aren't on this fragile-ass mindset that Americans have found themselves. The problem is America has been at the top for far too long, and we have gotten comfortable. We don't even realize that we've fallen down the mountain yet. Oh, but we have. I assure you that the potential and possibility of a global war will always exist. And the other countries that understand that don't expect other men to do their fighting for them, they realize that their generation may be the next generation called to answer their nation's call to bear arms. They're still doing what men should do, challenging you to be the best version of yourself. There's absolutely nothing wrong with men saying, hey, I challenge you to a wrestling match, or a jiu-jitsu match, or boxing match. I challenge you in the gym. Let's see who's the strongest. Let's see who can go the longest. Let's see who has the best endurance. Because physicality matters. It will always matter. As long as the breath in your lungs, there is the reality that violence is always an option. And if you are physically inept, my friend, you are a victim. So I'm going to do what the New York Times failed to do. I'm going to help you out. If you want to take this challenge and you want to start to get in better shape, there was a point in time in my life where I was 300 pounds. I was fat as shit. I was horribly out of shape. When it was shown to me how out of shape I was, I didn't take it personally. I took it as a call to do better. So let's break this down. Let's start you with level 1. Begin where you are. Just give me 10 push-ups and 2 pull-ups. Do it in under 10 minutes. Build that up until you get to a place that's not that difficult for you anymore. Then we can take it up to 50 push-ups and 10 pull-ups. Spread that out to 10 minutes. Take as many breaks as you need. And then when it's all said and done, hit that final level, which is 100 push-ups and 50 pull-ups in 10 minutes. I promise you, if you put the work in, your body will respond. If you've got questions about this, if you need more help, if you think, hey, I have this restriction that I don't know how to work around, leave a comment. I'll be happy to give you tips and pointers to get you there. And if you feel like you need more, then by all means, you can reach out to us or find a coach in your local area. But you should accept this challenge, because the plain and simple truth is you should be able to knock this out in less than 5 minutes as a strong, capable man. And until you decide that's what you want to be, well, weak is what you are. And you'll never face a storm that way. Because after all, the fastest way out of the storm is through. If you got anything out of this, give us a like, subscribe, a share. Drop a comment if you agree or disagree. Until next time, keep living your life. Head down, horns up. Salute.